And normally you can feed the sharks, but they're having problems with that and with the back of the aquarium. But the aquarium is open to 6 p.m. Here on the right is the first masonry building built by the Navy here. The bottom here is where they kept the coal for the ships, and the bottom. And the second level is where they made the sails for the ships, but also on the second level is the only air-conditioned restroom here in Mallory Square. Now if you're on the cruise ship up here on the right, you'll see the tall statue. It's been here since January. It is the couple in Times Square at the end of the war in 1945. The artist is Seaward Johnson Grant, son of the Johnson or Johnson family. To go to the cruise ship, you're going to take her right up there where those people are coming up. The tall red building, the Custom House, built in 1891. It was a courthouse, a post office, an ancient museum. The lowest temperature ever recorded on the island, 41 degrees. Our United States government mandated that building have a snow roof. It never snowed here on the island, probably never will. The government made sure that building had a snow roof. Here on the right, the Mel Fisher Museum. In 1622, the Atocha sank off the Florida Keys. The estimated value of the treasure, over $400 million. Mel Fisher founded in 1985 the state of Florida tried to keep part of the proceeds. It went to court here in the island. And the court said grinders keepers, so all the money went to Mel Fisher and his family. Now we're coming up to the Truman White House. Again, there were a lot of trees that came down here. You cannot enter on this side, you'd have to enter on the other side. President Truman spent 11 working vacations here, 175 days. These green gates here in the open, they're only open for United States presidents. They've been open for Eisenhower, Truman, Kennedy, Carter, and Clinton. But because there's so many trees that went down, normally these gates on the right and the left would be open, but they're working on all the trees in there, so you have to go into the back to enter the White House. We're going to make our way up here to Duval. Again, as we go to the island, you'll see the debris everywhere. So we're going to have to take our time as we go to the island. Coming up to Duval, this is Lower Duval. At the light on the right will be the home of Dr. Joseph Yates Porter. He was the first public health official here in the state of Florida. He helped eradicate yellow fever. He was born upstairs in 1847, died in the very same room 80 years later. In 1927, on the left you have 3 bars. You have the bowl on the bottom, which is open air, the whistle, second floor, pool tables and games. You can read the sign for the garden to read. Yes, it is. Clothing optional, and we recommend that you go to CVS and get some sunscreen before you go up to the garden. Yes, it is a garden, yes. And we're going to cross the ball. We'll cross the ball. We'll ring the bell. We'll ring the bell because they don't always see the big orange trolley. The more they drink, the less they see. And again, the bars on the island are open to 4 a.m. 7 days a week.
Awesome.
So here on the left is the Curry Mansion. Wayne Curry, at the time of his death, was the wealthiest person in the state of Florida. Made his money in the record and tobacco industry. The home is now a guest house. If you go in there, there's a widow's walk at the top where you can see the island from up there. Then you come up to an intersection here. And on the left would be a very large tree that fell down during a hurricane and they cut this out. But in the right-hand corner is our federal building. It is Customs, Immigration, Social Security, and Federal Court. The reason it Customs Immigration is because we are an entry point into the United States. The entire island is made out of coral. This building is wrapped in fossilized coral. And again, it said most of the larger trees here in the island are the ones that fell over. This hurricane was more wind than water. Hurricane Wilma in 2005, they said it was more water than wind. But again, in the middle of Keys is where they got it really, really bad. Now, the lowest temperature on the island ever recorded, 41 degrees. The average is 77. The highest is 97. We are the only frost-free zone in the continental United States. And we are actually closer to Cuba, which some of you are going to tomorrow, than we are to the nearest Walmart. And the pineapple is a symbol of hospitality and welcome here in the island. Coming up here on the right, you'll see a white picket fence. Somebody was kind enough to cut the pineapple out, and that is their way of welcoming you here to the island. And here at the stop sign, and the right is a building with red doors. It was a bar in the 1950s, and the fishermen would go there, and they'd get in a lot of fights and a lot of murders. It was said if you did not go into the bar with a knife, the bartender would give you one, and the police nicknamed it the Bucket of Blood today. It's a ladies' clothing boutique. And how this place on the left made it to the hurricane, I have no idea. That place has been there for a long time. They made it. Here on the right is Pepe's Cafe. It's the oldest cafe in the Florida Keys, established in 1909. This was a favorite lunch spot for President Truman. In there was a very large tree. The tree came down during the hurricane. They've since removed the tree, but the tree has been there for a very, very long time. We're going to take a left, and on the right will be a yellow and white building. Behind it is the Flagler Museum. You can learn about Henry Flagler and the Flagler Railroad. Admission absolutely free. It's a small museum in the video. All you have to do is show them your trolley ticket. We're going to head up here towards the water. Directly straight ahead is the water, and on the left will be trolley stop number 2. Here you can get off. You could have Cuban coffee if you haven't had Cuban coffee before. If you walked up towards the Dock Masters building straight ahead and you took a left, you'd see the nice restaurants on the left and the ships on the right. And again, they estimate about 100 boats have sank in the harbor because of the hurricane. But this is trolley stop number 2. Anybody exiting here too? And again, as I mentioned earlier, while you're visiting the island, and I know some of you are on the cruise ship, if you could visit our restaurants and bars, everybody would appreciate it. It helps everybody get the island going again. A lot of people here on the island, including the trolley drivers, have lost everything. So anything you can do to help them out, there's a plus on this side. Here, there's Blue Mural. The artist is Robert Weiland. This is 50-second painting. This underpainting was in Beijing, China, at the Beijing Games. The mural goes all the way around the building. You'll see a signature in the upper left-hand corner. Here's a beautiful gallery on Duval Street. It's in the 600 block. I don't know if it's reopened yet or not, but it is called the Weiland Gallery. It is a beautiful gallery. So we're going to make our way up here along the water, see how far we can go. We're going to take a left here. This is called Lazy Way Lane, or Old Key West. As I take a left on the right, you'll see the schooner Wolf bar. The bar used to be on the schooner here in the water. They moved it here to the land. You come here for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a cocktail. On the other side, you can sail the beautiful boats in the harbor. Then we're going to come up to Fury and Sebago. They'll be on the right-hand side. They started up again this week. They do the day trips, they do the parasailing, the jet skiing, and the snorkeling. Jimmy Buffett made this island very famous with his music. Next summer, he's going to give a concert here in the island. Directly in front of us is a white building. It is his recording studio here in the island. There is nothing on the outside to indicate that's what it is, but if you Google Jimmy Buffett's recording studio in Key West, you will see a picture of this white building. And everybody comes to the island for key lime pie. Directly in front of us is a green and yellow building. That is Kermit's key lime pie. Kermit came up with the idea, taking key lime, putting it on a stick, and covering it with chocolate and freezing it. Kermit has the shop up here on the left, and he also has another shop in the 800 block on Duval. And directly in front of us is the Kong Seafood Republic Company. In the 1800s, it was the largest ice house in the world. The boats would come here in the harbor on the right. They would process the fish in the ice house, and the ice came on ships from New England. So we're going to make a left here, and directly in front of us, you can't see it from here, is your cruise ship. It's behind the tall red building. Whenever there is a cruise ship in port, it is taller than any other building here in the island. You can see the top of the ship from here now. This is Green Street. It's a direct shot from your ship. On the left, the only bar in the island that does not serve alcohol. They have a bar, a bartender, bar stools. But instead of alcohol, they serve hot sauce from Mile to Wild. That's Pepper's here on the left. The brick building, that's the rum distillery I was talking about. This is an old tobacco factory. With your trolley ticket, you can go in there, you can take a tour of the rum distillery, and they will give you a free sample of rum. So we're going to make our way up to trolley shop number 3. So again, this is Green Street. At the next light on the left, the Sloppy Joe's. Behind us, the rum distillery, and behind that, Kermit's Key Lime Pie. So if you wanted to do this and then walk back to your ship, it'd be straight ahead, or if you wanted to do it later and walk from your ship, this is trolley stop number 3. Nobody's joining us, right? And we will talk about the roosters and the chickens later. Yes. And they survived the hurricane. And coming up here on the left is the tall brick building. It's the old city hall. As we go by, you'll see green arch doors in the 1800s. They would put a fire apparatus by horse. They'd go through the green arch doors under the building and out the other side. That was easier than having the horses back up. And here on the left, Hemingway's favorite watering hole, Sloppy Joe's. Sloppy Joe's was originally across the street. Across the street on the left, you see a yellow building. Captain Tony's. It was there from 1933 to 1937. The owner went up in the rent by $1 per week. Sloppy Joe Russell refused to pay the $1 per week. He buys a restaurant here for $2,000. One night he moves all the patrons All the alcohol, all the bar stores, they've been there ever since. But if you go to Captain Tony's up there, go in that first door. There was a tree, and I don't know if it's still there, it was going right through the building, and that's where they used to hang the pirates from. But we are going to take a left on Duval Street. They cleaned up Duval Street last night and the last couple of days, so Duval Street looks pretty good. And again, more businesses are opening as the week progresses. But if you looked on CNN and you looked on the videos, you saw how this was all flooded because of the hurricane. So Duval Street, one end of it, the Gulf of Mexico. The other end of it, the Atlantic Ocean. Duval Street is 14 blocks from end to end. There are approximately 125 bars in the street. They're all open at 4 a.m. 7 days a week. We have a lot of festivals on the street. The largest is coming up in October. That is Fantasy Fest. It's a week-long event. We have a wine and cheese festival. They have a Hemingway look-alike contest. They have sloppy joes. They've had that. And normally we have a motorcycle weekend in September, but I think that was postponed because of the
They have a
hurricane.
Senior Fox, Senior
Monkey store.
So again, the first 7 blocks, restaurants and bars, second and 7 blocks, galleries and shops. I'm going to go up to White House up here on the right with some flags. It's the oldest home on the island, built in 1829 by a working captain at Wellington. Lived in this home with his wife and 9 daughters. The kitchen is detached from the home. It's the back of the property. I want to see if they're open. Admission is absolutely free. Yes, they are open. The gate on the left is open. I believe they close at 4 o'clock. That's here on the right. The children didn't have very far to go to school because here on the right is the oldest school. You see the 2 porches on the second level. You see the school bell. We're going to make our way up to Trolley shop number 4, the La Concha Hotel. A lot of people who stayed on the island came to the La Concha during the hurricane. It's a very strong building. It's been through many, many hurricanes. It is the tallest building on the island. Tennessee Williams spent 2 years at the top of this building. It's where he wrote Streetcar Named Desire. This is Trolley shop number 4. This is the La Concha Hotel. You'd get off here from Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, the San Carlos Institute, the Coach Factory for the ladies, and Lower Duval. I don't know if Jimmy Buffett's is open yet. Someone said it was closed yesterday, but this is Trolley shop number 4. Here on the right is the CBS. The CBS is the old press department store as we go by. You'll see it. After that is Jimmy Buffett's. And I don't know if they're open. I haven't put the sign up. That would be here where the windows are. After that is the San Carlos Institute on the right-hand side. Built in 1871, a replica of City Hall in Havana. And for the ladies here on the left, you have the Coach Factory, very popular for the ladies who visit the island. Again, they've really cleaned up Duval Street. Duval Street had a lot of debris on it. Here on the left, you see this bar, Willie T's. They were hit really bad by the hurricane. They've taken away all the wood and everything that was damaged. You see all the dollar bills stapled to the poles at the end of the year. They'll donate all those dollars to the Wounded Warriors Fund. We'll take a right up here. We'll take a right up and cross over the next intersection. We'd be at the old Navy base. The Navy was here until 1974. When they left in 1974, they took out over 10,000 sailors. They took out the submarines and closed the sonar school. When they did that, most of the businesses on Duval Street closed. Somebody came up with an idea in 1974. Let's sell each building for $1. The only condition was you had to restore it to the way it originally looked. And have it up and running by the 1976 bicentennial. The current rent for a bar on Duval Street right now sits at $49,000 per month. So if you purchase one of those buildings for $1 in 1974, and you're getting $49,000 a month in rent, you're getting a good return on your investment. And yes, there were people here in the island that did that. Now what you see on the right and on the left was all the way on Duval Street. They cleaned that up. It's a long process. Again, if you drove here from Key Largo, this is what you would see, the entire 125 miles on each side. You'll see all the debris from the hurricane.